Romania is between a lot of different countries, and the mountains within Romania are between a lot of different parts of Romania, which meant that when they were the borderlands between the Ottoman Empire and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, this really annoyed the Turks because they could run up and hide and say, "You can't get me." This means that for the Ottoman Empire, it was easier to kind of have a vassal system rather than conquer the Romanian Principalities outright. And so they made them suzerain states, not quite within the Ottoman Empire, but vassals, who had to pay them tribute. And this lasted a long time, for 4 centuries of Romanian history. And this left an imprint upon the Romanian language that still stands to this day. I'm Benjamin, and in this video, we're going to have a look at that. The change in speech patterns came about through a mix of trade, political need, and daily grind of workers. In the main towns, a small but key number of Turk officials, Ottoman merchants, and soldiers made their homes. The local highborn had to learn the Turks' tongue for trade, talk, and to keep the Sultan's good graces. It wasn't exactly willingly, you know. They lived in an in-between world, speaking a form of Romanian with Greek and Turkish sprinkles amongst themselves. Closely mixed people and tongues meant words from the ruling powers found their way into the common folk's tongue. It was a top-down flow of speech. The Ottoman yoke was not always hard felt by the common farmer in his field, but the terms of trade, things bought and sold in the market, the very way basic things were done, all took on a Turkish air. They were the masters. The long age of Phaneriot rule. Phaneriots, they came from the Phanar district of Constantinople. These were the descendants of the Byzantine Empire's noble families, those that had survived anyway. And the Byzantines, they're a bit similar to the Romanians in their religion. And so when the Turks couldn't get these Romanian princes out of the way completely, they brought in these Phaneriots as governors, because the Romanian Principalities, they would not accept this Muslim ideology, but they would for the time at least accept Phanariots. So in 1711, the native princes ended. And for over a century, Romanians were ruled by Greeks, governed really, but ruled by the Ottoman Turks far away. Greek men from Constantinople were set up as princes. It was a way for the empire to prevent natives from gaining too much power and threatening revolution. This only deepened the Oriental streak in speech. The Romanian language, which had kept its Latin core for well over 1,000 years, began to wear a thick Turkish coat of words. The words which tended to enter Romanian from Turkish were not the deep, old, heartfelt words of family or farming life. They were the words of the new world brought by the Ottomans, words for food, home life, and the market, in some cases words for military technology and foreign administration. They became such a key part of the language that most Romanians today do not even think of them as foreign words. They are simply their own after several centuries. Let us look at a few examples. When you sit down for a meal in Romania, you will hear a host of words that trace their root back to the Turkish tongue. Cafea, coffee, comes straight from kahve. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the Turkish right, but there you go. Chorba, a word so deep-rooted in the Balkans it feels local everywhere. Sarma, Tasty stuffed vine leaves or cabbage is from sarma, meaning wrapped up. Pilaf, a rice dish, is from pilav. These are not just words of the kitchen, they are the names of a whole way of eating that came with the Turks. It also penetrated into military language and administrative language, but there are two sides of Romanian life in which the Turkish language did not have much influence at all. And that says a lot about how the Romanians saw the Turks and how the Turks administrated essentially these vassal principalities. Religion and music are those two fields, and it's obvious that the Ottoman Empire was an Islamic empire in terms of its belief system. These voivodes and hospodars, these princes who had resisted Turkish rule, did so especially through the Orthodox Church. See my videos on Stephen the Great, Stefan the Great. And so when they were forced under the suzerainty of the Ottoman Empire, the Romanians still did not accept mosques being built on their lands. It was very clear, and it's remarkable how few words to do with religion and higher divine type things there are in the Romanian language from Turkish. Also music. Most words to do with music in Romanian come from Latin or French. However, one noteworthy word in this is doina, which is possibly a Middle Eastern folk music style, but it's probably an earlier Romanian folk music style. There's argument on that. However, the etymology of the word is not Middle Eastern. It may be Dacian, like pre-Roman. So this is something that is very deep in Romanian culture that goes way back before Turkish. And the fact that they kept this on as something possibly even pre-Latin in its name says a lot about how they think of music and how important it is to them to celebrate their own internal musical culture as opposed to what was coming in from Turkey. It was an act of national defiance to not accept this Muslim ideology in their lands, and it was very different to how that spread in Bosnia, Albania, Bulgaria. That in those lands today they have to deal with these demographics, and well, we all know what happened in Sarajevo, in former Yugoslavia. Romania has not had that problem because it did not have the same colonization of Islamic rule. These were vassal states, Wallachia and Moldova. They were Christian, and the words for those things in the Romanian language for holy things remained Christian. These words did not come from books, they came from market talk, from the builder on the job, from the cook in the kitchen. They came from the daily give and take of life in a world run by a distant sultan. The way they came in was not forced, or rather it was overshadowing, but flowed from a new way of doing things, new foods, new ways of living. Innovations which the locals were happy to take from this empire ruling over them. The common folk took up these words because they had heard them from the wealthy, from the merchants, and from the few Turks they met. The words became part of the local tongue, shifting their sounds and forms a little to fit the Romanian way of talking, shedding their foreign feel to become local. The sheer number of these words, in the thousands, shows the true weight of the Ottoman age on the Romanian people and tongue. While some have fallen out of use over time, a solid core of well over 1,000 words still stand strong today, a living proof of a shared past, or one that was imposed. Turkish words with an accent on the last sound and ending in a vowel often got a new ending in Romanian. For example, the Turkish mushteri, customer, became mushteriu in Romanian. This added u sound helped the word fit better into Romanian grammar, where it could then take on other endings to show if it was one customer or many, if it was the customer, or feminine or masculine, or if the customer owned something. The biggest impact was on nouns, but the Turkish way of building words also left a mark. A few Turkish suffixes became part of the Romanian word-building toolkit. The Romanian suffix "ju" is a prime example. It means one who does something or one who sells something. Romanian took this suffix and stuck it onto words from all over the place. You get bragaju, a maker of a certain drink called braga, chismaju, a bootmaker, or even words like barcaju, a boatman, from the Italian root barca, a boat. Makes me think of barge. This shows a deep level of influence, not just taking words, but the very rules of the language changing to make new words. Quite a few Turkish words that end in s end in sh in Romanian. Here's one I like, talash. It means shavings or sawdust. I like this word, use it. Another word is shish, dagger. This was an overlordship relationship, with Turks on high and Romanians below, especially from the 17th to 19th centuries. And you got words that came into the Romanian language: vezir for a minister, memur for a civil servant, moluluk for an Islamic jurisdiction. But as we will see, things were about to change. Indigenous Europeans across the Balkans were trying to rekindle their national identity and throw off this Asiatic Empire from over their necks. And in the case of Romanians, if you could not defeat them outright in open battle, well, at least you could get their words and speech out of your mouth and purify your language. And that was about to happen. But for now, Romanians were not in a good place. As is the case with imperialists, the flow was mostly a one-way street, from Turkish to Romanian. These Romanian principalities were being ruled by a vast, imperial Islamic regime. But the process of word shaping made the foreign words feel local. Romanians bent the Turkish words to their own needs, to their own sound system. They were no longer foreign sounds in a local mouth, but new ways for talking about a new world. This kind of deep mixing where word-making rules are shared shows how close the two cultures became, even under an overlord's rule. The language grew richer, more international, fuller, and more complex because of this long, close rubbing with the Turkish tongue. It is a sign of deep, shared histories, echoed in the very sounds of people when they talk. Most of the Turkish words in Romanian come from the 17th and 18th centuries, kind of the zenith of Turkish influence. However, the Ottoman Empire began to decline. The Dictionary of Romanian Words of Turkish Origin says that the language has 2,760 Turkish loanwords. However, not all of these have made it into common use today. In the present-day Romanian language, there are about 1,250 of Turkish origin, of which around 1,000 are loanwords and the rest making up words formed by fusing Romanian elements and Turkish elements together. A lot of basic vocabulary is still Turkish. Düşman, meaning enemy. Murdar, dirty. You also get a lot of slang words and regionalisms which are Turkish loanwords into Romanian, but since I don't speak Romanian fluently in any way, maybe that's a video best left for when my Romanian gets better. In the early 19th century, the Romanians began to be on the uptake. They were getting strength as the Ottoman Empire was losing ground. Greece gained independence, which caused the Turks to say, well, we can't have these Greeks ruling over the Romanians for us because they might help them wage a war of independence against us. So they came down harder, which caused the Romanians to seek more of a national awakening in their language. The minds of the day looked west, not east. They had a dream of making Romania independent, modern European, getting rid of the old Oriental outlooks, the old Oriental words. Many Turkish words became derogatory, actually. A sense of guilt and shame associated with them. Get that out of your mouth. These are our overlords. Why do you want to speak that? I mean, if an Islamic colonial empire was ruling over your people, you would not really want to speak their speech, would you? It would be a sense of patriotism to get that language out of your mouth, to associate it with negative things. And so naturally, many things that in the Turkish language were good things became inverted in the Romanian speech to be identified with insults toward people. A Turkish word for prince, beyzade. I don't speak Turkish, so yeah, I have notes. Became an insult in Romanian, bezadea, meaning the son of a politician or a businessman. A bit high on his horse. Who do you think you are, bezadea? The Turkish, rahat lokum, came in Romanian to take on another meaning. Though I must note first, this ultimately came from Arabic. A lot of Turkish words entering Romanian did, and it meant Turkish delight, comfort, pleasure. But in Romanian, it took on another meaning. It came to mean shit, rahat, taking what was good about Turkish and suggesting that anything affiliated with that culture was rahat. Rahat. Let me know, Turks or Romanians, if I'm even pronouncing that correctly. But I find this interesting, how languages shift into a political weapon or a social weapon to turn what they find pleasurable and treasures, turning to Speaking of treasure, there's another Turkish word. And treasure in Ottoman Turkish, hazine. This shifted meaning to take on an insult of a type as well. Hazna became a word meaning latrines or a filth tank. Filth. That is your Ottoman Turkic treasure. It is filth to us, the Romanians said. I like how they're taking things that the Ottoman Turks like and turning them into insults to attack them with. With this change in identity, Romanians reshaping how they define themselves. Leading Romanian thinkers and writers of the time began a big push to cleanse the language of its many Turkish, Greek, and Slavic words. Their aim was to show the world that Romanian was a true Latin tongue, a sister to French, Italian, and Spanish, with a proud Roman past. Romania was looking west. This was its key to independence, to building an independent nation state. They looked to the French in particular as a shining light. Ideas of armed revolution. They brought in thousands of French words to replace the old Turkish ones, especially for technological stuff, which is why in part not many technological words from Turkish have survived. They were replaced by French. They also brought back old Latin roots and made up new words that felt more Western, more modern, more likely to garner ideas of Romanian independence. So here are a few of those words that were Ottoman administrative terms, which the Romanian patriots said, no, we want to get away from that and re-Latinize to kind of purify the language of these Turkish imperial words. Odagiu, servant, became servitor. Remember earlier the vizier that I mentioned? That word became ministriu. And the memir, the public servant, became functionar public. Functionar public. So they're very Latin. Zabet, a governor, became guvernator. And Molaluk, that Ottoman Islamic jurisdiction, was abolished. And Putlejea, aubergine, Americans do not say eggplant, it is aubergine. In Romanian this became veneta, which is cognate actually with Venetian, Venice. I like that. Veneta, aubergine, Venice. This was a top-down, strong-handed move. New school books were written, old words were shamed, looked down on, and a new, more Latin way of writing and speaking was pushed on the people, even many who did not want it, a new alphabet. Many clearly Turkish words were thrown out of polite company and formal writing, as if to say, are you not proud to be Romanian? Don't include that Turkish nonsense. They are our imperial masters. We will not speak their language. They became words for the old folk in the country, or for backwater towns. The urban elite became much more Latinate. Words for legal matters, for high ideas, and for new things were almost always French or Latin based, and the new Latin script would rise up out of these urban centers of patriotic restoration, of self-grown aristocracy. But some nice words remain. Yadesh, ooh, that's a nice word. Yadesh, wishbone. Soba, a fireplace, but an old rustic one with wood. Soba. Yet many of the core words, the ones for soup, coffee, yogurt, and the house itself, stood strong. Those are not words that are easy to displace. They were too deep in the daily life to be pulled out. The result is a Romanian that is a rich blend. It has its Latin core, a layer of Slavic that strengthens it, and a thread of Turkish delight that runs through it like gold. This great purge changed the look and feel of written Romanian, making it feel more Western, more modern in the sense of the 19th century modernity. But the spoken language in the homes and markets kept a lot of the Oriental warmth and flavor. The national awakening shifted the language's path, steering it hard towards the west, but it could not wash away all the marks of the long Ottoman winter, centuries of overlordship, imperial subjugation. The Turkish words that remain are an echo of that complex, bitter often, shared past, with far-off overlords in a Muslim world. If you like this video, you can do a number of things. 1. Would you like a video on the influence of German in Romania? Or what about the influence of Latin in Welsh? Let me know. If you want to help contribute and keep this channel going, give me money. Buy me a coffee, donate to the channel, or just like and spread the word. Hey, thank you for watching. Diolch yn fawr iawn am wylio. We'll see you next time.